Okay. Okay, so let's start from the end because you guys have a new single coming out in on April 4th.
Yeah.
Fine on My Own, which is a very striking title, obviously. It sounds like self-explanatory, obviously, but um just tell me more about it.
Well, this is the first one off the album. Like we kind of all the songs were in chronological order from like how we experienced them, lived them, wrote them, recorded them. So this is finally like the uptick after just a lot of, and I know you've listened to a lot of the songs prior. We went through some rough stuff and we really went there with music. So Fine on My Own was the first time we're like, you're on the uptick. You're like, okay, I'm feeling a little better. you know, I'm fine on my own. And there's like some of that like pump, a little bit of like there's still that rawness and there's still some like pain, there's some
Platforms.
humor, but
Yeah.
there's also, like that punk mentality a little bit and like some of the influences of, our 90s love, like some Blink 182, Avril Lavigne kind of vibes, like I think that's something that we also love about this whole album is doing it ourselves too, is just being able to kind of pull on all the different influences that are a part of us and that just come out naturally. This song, like so many on this album, it just came out. We were just full
The,
songs, just like they
the
needed to come
cool
out.
thing, the cool thing with Fine on My Own though is we literally wrote it when we were in Vegas, like on a whim. We were out there for a couple of days, and the night before we were supposed to go into the studio, I came up with a riff, and then Allison already had a melody, and our producer Logan, we were like, we need to get this down, like so we were already in smack dab middle of recording, and I remember that was one of the first songs that were kind of taking a turn as far as getting out of the angry angsty
And did
rage
we wrote this one? This was in the hotel.
in the hotel. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So our producer Logan Mader, he used to be in LA, and we worked with him on our last band, into our San Diego band, and Alex has worked with him in previous bands. So he moved to Vegas. So when we've been going to Vegas to do this album with him, and yeah, and so some of the times we're even staying at his house. We've become like really good friends. But there were some times where we also, do part of the time in his house, part of the time in a hotel. So yeah, that I remember that now. Yeah. We have
Mhm.
like videos too. That's so fun.
How do you guys, well, 'cause it seems like you guys are very symbiotic um partners when it comes to like, creating things. Um, how did this specific song like, begin a thing, like became a thing? You know what I mean? Like who came up with, Alex said that you came up with the riff and all that, but like was it like, and this is kind of like a broader question, obviously, as in like how do you guys start making music? You know what I mean? Does it come with like, oh hey, I had this like idea, I have a line in mind, like let's make it a song, or like I have this in mind, like how does the duo kind of like interacts artistically, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, we are really symbiotic, and I'll let Alex chime in fully on her take on this. But I think it's pretty magical. I think some of our best stuff is we get together in person. We Alex will start playing jamming on something, and then melodies and lyrics come like that quickly. We definitely have other situations where I'll have like a full song's lyrics down, and then we'll start jamming. She'll be inspired by that. But I think the large majority of the time, it's just when we're together in a deep feeling place and we kind of just feed off of each other. And specifically for this album, it was wild. I mean, there was one day where Alex came over to my place and we pressed record on my Pro Tools, and 4 or 5 entire songs came out, and we didn't even know, like we were both in a real emotional place. And it wasn't until I was actually in Vegas listening back being like, oh my God, there were 2 or 3 full songs, and some of those are the ones that were just released, like Let Her Go, some of my favorites. Let Her Go is one of my favorite songs on the album. When Does Heartbreak Go Home? I wouldn't have even known neither of it. Those songs would have been gone if we hadn't been recording
We
on
hadn't
our Pro
recorded
Tools.
them, yeah, they would have been lost, like
Gone.
because we were such in a just spontaneous writing mode. And luckily Allison was recording it. But most of the time, yeah, a lot of her stuff is spontaneous. I think for this particular single, I think Allison, you wanted something a little bit more upbeat. I remember you saying she already kind of had the tempo down, the BPM, and I just was playing around with riffs, and then from there, you took on the lyrics and the melodies.
Alex is also a lot better at remembering details because I'm just like, I'm like,
It
she's
was-
reminding me stuff.
well, we were listening to, I think we kept listening to it on repeat, and then that's what is that single? Na, 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 kiss me. Na, 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 na.
Yes,
So
I was gonna
that
say there
same
had to be a
BPM,
song
and we were
to
like,
it.
okay, we need something that's,
Artemas.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
I like the way you kiss me. I can
Yes,
tell
we
you
wanted
miss
to
me.
come
I
up
can
with
tell it hits. I love
exactly,
that song.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's great. There was like I had a friend when I used to live in Nashville too, right? So I play music and everything, and when I was living in Nashville, I had like, my band and everything, and started doing some solo stuff. And my producer was still is a huge Prince fan, right? And he would say that, yeah, he said that there were times where Prince, probably all the time, but especially like towards the end, like the second half of his career, that he would just like go into the studio and just like hit record and do like 24-hour sessions where he would record
Wow.
everything that came out. Um, because there were like some, I guess like after his death, there were like some like posthumous releases of like
Yeah, I remember that actually.
a lot of stuff that Prince like recorded and never came out, or like they never like
Yeah.
got like became anything. But that reminded me, that story reminded me of that type of thing. Because sometimes, like you said, like you have like some hidden gems that in the moment when you're not, when your mind is like just paying attention to another thing or like to another song or to a specific task or whatever, you don't realize, only after you realize that that one actually might be, the single, and you like in the moment you probably wouldn't have noticed.
Exactly, 100%.
Oh,
And the thing that's so wild is when we're doing that, so we're I mean, honestly, for part of that one particular writing session where 4 or 5 songs happened, I was like on the floor, like it was emotional and the melodies that I sang. So sometimes words will pop in here and there, but a lot of times I can't necessarily even really like make out fully what it is, or I'll get some words down. I will go back and whatever words I find, they will fit perfectly to that melody. It's so wild. It's like, it blows my mind. Like I remember when we went to Vegas and I was listening back and I was like in tears because the full song, just all of the words, all of the lyrics, like just I wrote them down immediately from listening with fresh ears, from the melody. It was like everything was there. It blew my mind, honestly. It does kind of feel like you're channeling,
Yeah,
from something else, or something is going through you.
yeah.
But
Because
it
your
is.
mind
It's like,
processes like after, you know what I mean? Like you absorb it, it just comes out of you and then it comes back into you. You know what I mean? It's really something you can't explain.
yeah,
really.
yeah.
Yeah, Rick Rubin would say that too. That like, a lot of times he'd be like having like singers on the booth, and he would just mumble things, and then
Yep.
the words will come out after, which
Yeah.
Yeah.
makes
Yeah, and
sense.
sometimes like I remember for Silent Killer, um, I was like saying siren, I think, or something like that. And or like I don't know, and then it turned into Silent Killer. It was so fascinating. But I feel like writing of this album and the ease in which it all flowed and has come together has just it's been one of the coolest experiences of my life for sure.
Do you guys think that this is the most representative body of work for you guys so far, or?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, when we started music, I remember struggling because we were put in this box of being hard rock, and I, very much was influenced by, bands like Evanescence and stuff. So people would always say, "Oh, you sound like Evanescence, or you sound like Amy Lee. You got to find your own sound." And when you're trying to force it, it doesn't really happen. But when you're just living your life, and then especially with when you're going through all this stuff, the songs, these elements, like for example, the rap, like you should have seen the like looks on Alex and Logan's faces when I was like, "You guys, I have this rap." They were like, "No, no, what?" Like, absolutely not. There's no way. And I was like, "Listen, I understand how it sounds. Let me just give it a shot."
Trust me on this. Trust me on this.
I was like, I didn't even say trust me. I was like, I know
Uh-huh.
I sound crazy, but I have been hearing it. Like I would be trying to go to sleep and I will hear the full rap to the song. So I'm like, we have to add a part because I was like, let me just try it. Let me
Yeah.
just try it. If
I
it's
mean,
terrible,
I
take it out.
was the biggest skeptic. I mean, I've been in bands with Allison since, wow, like before 2010. And, she has always been, a vocalist of very melodic, angelic vocals. And she raps, to the radio or like, to the stereo or like, some R&B stuff, but nothing that we've ever recorded. So of course in my mind I was like, no, like who's this funny kid? Like who's this white girl trying to like, rap? Like, haha, let's just try her idea and then we'll move on. But it ended up being amazing. And both Logan and I were, and obviously Allison was very proud.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking about this too. Like, I had a question about this too, because with duos sometimes, when you have a band, like, and there's like multiple people, even if it's like a band project, like a group project, there's always like the one person that writes, like Sting writes the Police songs. You know what I mean? Like, even though Andy Summers writes the guitar parts, and like Stuart Copeland's like, you know what I mean? Like, there's always like
Yeah.
one, like, spotlight in the band. But with duos it's different, because like you have like you have to balance it out like a lot differently, you know what I mean, in order to make it
Yeah.
work. So
Absolutely.
was there like any kind of, is there like any kind of like harsh like disagreements in the studio, or like, or like kind of like clashes, you know what I mean, like stuff that, you know what I mean, like stuff that maybe like in the beginning seems like, oh, like this rap thing, you know what I mean, like, oh, this will never work, and then like you realize it actually does work, you know what I mean, like
Well, I
what's the
think that
dynamic there between you guys when
100%. I think
you have
the
to.
cool thing is that there's a level of respect that all three of us, because with Logan too, I mean, either Alex or Logan could have said, absolutely not, we're not willing to hear this. You're not going to rap. We don't, absolutely not. But we have, because there is this level of respect there, all of us, if one of us wants to try something and we think it's absolutely crazy, we listen and we have an open mind. And if we listen to it and we don't like it, then we say that we don't like it, and then we kind of also go with by the like 2 out of 3. So if 2 are for it, then the third one's like, okay, fine, and if 2 are against it, then it's not going in. There's like that level of trust, and I think that's hugely important. But like, absolutely, there are disagreements, but I think coming back to that and then giving it a beat, I think we've done pretty well. Alex, how would you answer that?
We've definitely come a long way, that's for sure. I mean, there's still moments of us like clashing. I mean, I will fully admit that sometimes I can become egotistical when it comes to music. Like, for example, if Allison were to say something that I am like, absolutely not, like, we're doing it this way, like when it comes to music, but then it turns out her idea was actually better. Stuff like that. That's why it's important for us to both, for all of us to keep an open mind, to the other person's idea. But I'm not gonna lie, there are some times where I am a little bullheaded. But at the end of the day, we respect each other.
Good, good. No, it obviously seems that way.
Yeah.
And it's reflected in the music. Like, the music is very cohesive. Like, I can't remember, either of you mentioned the 90s influence before.
Yeah.
I can hear that. Like, there's a lot of like Alanis Morissette, like,
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
there.
Oh, you just
But
made our
it's
lives
good
by
because
saying
like
that.
I grew up in that, like I was born in 91, it's like when I was growing up, and I grew up in Italy, so like MTV played like Alanis a lot, like a lot of that. We were Evanescence, like all that stuff for us was very huge.
Yeah.
So, it makes a lot of sense, like sonically, that you guys are, cohesive, so it's
I grew up in Belgium. I don't know if you knew that.
oh,
So
okay.
yeah, I mean, we were both born in the 80s. I was in Belgium and then moved to the US in 93.
Ah, okay.
But yeah, that
You
was
got
also,
a glimpse of like like, because like when I was a teenager, I think early 2000s, Linkin Park, Evanescence,
Yeah.
Alanis, all of
absolutely.
that. You guys caught a glimpse of the little, the little before of that
A
too.
Yeah,
little
Like,
grungy, a little bit of the alternative. Yeah.
yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
awesome. I love that.
And yeah.
So like the main vibe of this record, is it all I'm fine on my own type of thing, like resilience,
Oh,
uh, like, are there like any other like avenues emotionally that you guys are exploring? Like,
oh yeah.
what's the main vibe here?
Well, I think that's something that is so cool about this. It's really, they're so different. Like, I have an angry rap song that's basically almost fully rap. Like, there's no way anyone would believe that that was real, but that's coming. Like, there's there are so many different kinds of songs, but because there was so much to say and there was so much life that happened, and yeah, like there's like the vibes are they're gonna be so different, right? They're gonna be like feeling sexy for the first time after not, like they're gonna be um like a best friend anthem. There's gonna be like some women rock anthems still coming. So I feel like in a lot of ways there's some great stuff coming. And I think each song is so different. Um if anything, I think Let Her Go and When Does Heartbreak Go Home were probably the most similar. And I think everything else is very different to the point where we actually have different mixers for the second half of the album.
Mm. Alex, do you want to add anything to that? But I had a question for you anyway. But
That was I pretty much wanted to
awesome.
hand the mic to Allison for that one anyway.
Got it. Well, since you're the one that came up with the riffs, I assume that you're more the guitar person of the duo, or
Yeah, more the song, I guess music writer. I also play
Right.
bass. And yeah, just, coming up with along with my producer Logan and getting everything, not just the guitars and the bass,
Right. Yeah.
synths,
Yeah.
pianos.
Yeah, no, but that was like I was trying to figure out, because the question would be, was there any particular song in this record that was tough to write, like for
Tough
whatever
to-
reason, like tough to complete, or like, you know what I mean, like emotionally hard to put together, or whatever. Like, was there any kind of a I don't know, like struggles? I hear laughter in the background.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sorry, that's just me laughing. But I think
Yeah,
Alex is gonna have a different answer to this than me, so I'm gonna let her.
you'll answer that too. Yeah, so. But yeah, what was it like? Like that's the question. Like, what was it like writing this record? You know what I mean? Like putting it together. From an emotional and musical standpoint.
I mean, musically, I mean, Logan is such a great producer. He builds, from ground up songs. So I can't say that any of them are super difficult. Um, as far as tracking, I like to track fast. I don't mean to toot my horn, but I'm pretty good at just getting, the guitars down, getting the bass down. So we lay all that pretty quickly, and then, once we have a good grounding on the music, then we focus on the vocals. So the vocals are the ones that usually take, the most, and they need the most care because, that's literally the spotlight. As far as anything being difficult, I can't say, I can't use that word. Obviously, there were frustrating times where like I wasn't maybe executing a lead, stuff like that. But like to me, it's just so much fun that I just don't see it as difficult or hard.
Good.
And then I'll let Allison. I know Allison has a different
Yeah.
answer than I do.
Well, just what she said is also true. She's incredible. I mean, in terms of musicianship, Alex is a genius, and she plays everything on the album. We're all in there producing and obsessing over every little thing, but she's playing
Every little thing.
everything, like the guitar leads, every single thing that you're hearing. She's playing that, and playing live bass, and just all
Every
the things.
little key, melody, synth, like, or if there's like a hi-hat or like a like every little thing, like we both, Logan and I, and even Allison will hear something. She'll be like, I hear this melody. I can't quite put it to, I don't know exactly know what, but then we'll try to put it to life, and then we do.
Yeah,
So
like every single sound, which is it's so great. I was laughing because the hardest one, like for me, was singing "Let Her Go" and "When Does Heartbreak Go Home."
yeah,
That was early on,
I
and I'm
knew that.
thinking reason I'm actually laughing is the hardest one by far was "When Does Heartbreak Go Home." And I don't like to cry in front of people. I like to be strong. I like to like not ever cry in front of people. Who does? Who likes it? But for that song, I was like, and I kept trying to avoid singing it or I was like, can we just not just do it later? And then
You
finally
wanted
like,
to
okay,
leave.
dude, like
I think you
let's
wanted to leave
go.
back to LA. And we were like, no, you have to track this. Like, we need to get this track today.
So
Just
I finally, but it's
heartbreak.
hard to go there. And then I would full on like start breaking down mid take, which is embarrassing and emotional, and it's hard to go there. And as now I consider Logan like part family, but I hadn't worked with him in like 15 years. We're basically like just one beat away from being strangers, and I'm like trying to sing this vulnerable song and then just like hysterically crying while it's recording. It's just like really uncomfortable, embarrassing. And so then we had this giant Slim Jim, you know, those like beef jerky Slim Jim things. I was holding on to it. I have a video of this too, because I'm like, okay, I can't break down if I'm looking at this giant, ridiculous Slim Jim. So I was singing some of those takes holding his
Big
giant
meat
Slim
stick.
Jim, the meat stick.
Yeah, I was I would hope somebody had taken like footage of that to
Yeah.
keep it in the archives.
Yeah, Alex
I mean, it's
definitely
funny
did.
now, but like it's authentic, right? It's an authentic moment. So that means that song is you know, it's deep for you. So
It was,
nothing
and
to be
then it
embarrassed
was
about.
hard.
Like
I was everything about it, like even listening to it back, like all of it from my perspective, that was by far the hardest because I would cry listening to it. Like I was
Sure.
just like, this is
Yeah, yeah.
awful. I don't
Yeah,
want to
listening
do
to the
this.
mix. It's like we need to get these mixes done. Like you have to listen to them.
I don't
Yeah.
care if you cry.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm sure it happened, you know, for very good reason. It's actually, I mean, it's the last song that we've released, but it's doing probably the best out of all of them so far, which is kind of funny about ballads. But, you know, yeah.
There you go. See, that's amazing. Like it's, you know, that's the authentic answer. That's why we do these things, because these interviews, because sometimes like stuff like, you know, who would have known, you know what I mean? Who would have thought that, you know what I'm saying? Like
Exactly.
and then like your fans will listen to stuff in a, you know, with a different ear, you know what I mean? With a different mindset, because, you know, um but you mentioned that you guys have, you know, you go way back and everything, and what was the time? What was the way back for you guys? Like, you know, when did this partnership, you know, start and
So we met
evolve?
in
Like,
2005 when Alex was in a band called Media Lab. And 2007 was the first time that we actually like performed together. I had the worst stage fright ever. She signed me up for a show without me knowing. So it was like Allison and Alex on this flyer. And it was,
This is down in San Diego, by the way. Yeah.
yeah. So
uh,
way back.
Yeah.
how
Well, I
did you
mean,
know?
also,
How did you know that both? Yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
you know, so I mean, stage fright, and I feel like the only way for her to actually perform is if I just kind of forced her to. So that's why I was like, it was almost like I kind of considered it like an open mic. Like
Right.
I was trying to be like, no pressure, like even though it was like a
It was
show
a show. It
that my
wasn't an
friend was
open mic.
putting on. But she ended up doing it, and you did
Open
great.
mic for you. Like it's an open mic with one act.
Yeah. No, I mean, there were, thank God there were other acts, but I mean, also that made it,
Yeah.
I think, terrifying.
Right.
My legs were physically shaking. I thought I was going to pass out. But then, of course, once you do it and you sound good, then the high of that is like, oh my God, I did it. People liked it. They liked it.
Yeah, that's just unbeatable.
Exactly.
Unbeatable. Like the high of being on stage is just unbeatable. Yeah.
Exactly.
But and how did you know that both of you wanted to work with the other, or that was some kind of,
I think
you
that was
know,
the start of
spark
it.
there?
Yeah, so that was the start of it. When we did that little acoustic show, we you know, decided to record a single that we wrote together. We ended up, you know, we're getting together with an engineer, recording that, and then from there, we were like, we should put a band together. I mean, I was already in a band, so I was in the music scene down in San Diego, so I knew a bunch of musicians. So it just kind of came together organically to where we formed the band, and then after that, we came out with a demo, and then that's when our band My Elysian came about, and that was more rockin'. I was a little bit more heavy, hardcore metal riffage writer, and we were doing that for how long before you moved to
Until
LA?
like 2014. But I want to say how it started was Alex would hear me singing like crazy loud to like some artists in my
Evanescence.
car. So basically we'd be in
It
the
was
car
Amy Lee.
together and it would be a lot. It was definitely a lot of Evanescence, a lot of Amy Lee. And yeah, she would hear me just belting my little heart out. And she was like, you know, you sing really well. Like you actually sing better than a lot of people that are doing this, like that are in bands, that are touring. And I was like, no, really? uh,
Stop.
Stop, keep going.
Tell me more.
she's like, you really could do this, and then yeah, so we wrote the first song ever was Never Forgotten for a friend of mine that passed away. Um, Ian Andrew Greenblatt, right after we graduated high school. So that was the first song that we wrote was a song, for him called Never Forgotten. And then yeah, that was in like 2007, and then we did a full album that Logan did 2009 that was hard rock because that's, that's what Logan does and Alex does, and I love hard rock, so and metal actually. So yeah, our debut album was in 2009.
How do you think the sound and the whole, because music has changed since then, even rock has changed, you know what I mean? Like there's rock music now that is very, very polished and like it kind of gotten, this is my personal opinion, but I feel like rock music now has gotten really soft-ish, like from a production
Yeah,
side of things. You know what I mean?
yeah, for
Everything is
sure.
very, very convoluted, like even the production side of things, like which is, neither good or bad. It's just like I feel like this is what it is, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
So music has changed, like genres have changed and blah blah blah. How do you think you guys have changed, like, like sonically, from 2009? It's a long time ago, you know what I mean? Like
like
in,
it's
in
so much.
music, like maybe like even 5 years can change everything, so
100%.
how
And
do
I
you
think
guys think are evolving with your sound?
so much. And I think personally, Alex will probably have a different answer, but I think for me, it was like back then, I was this rookie that I didn't really believe that I could do this, that I was good enough. And it was always like, oh, what other people thought. And then as I got older and, all the life that I've been through, I wasn't doing it for anyone other than myself. I know what I like, I know what I don't like. So it's really about like, this album is like who we are, and that's also something that's so beautiful and empowering about it is like, it really is us authentically knowing who we are and the influences that have brought us here, and just being unapologetic about it. And like you see, yeah, we're genre blending or whatever because it doesn't really quite fit. In fact, we have a song that's I have some pretty good screams in there, like, and I love that shit. And then of course we have the ballad. Like, can you imagine, I don't know, an album back in that day coming out with like having pop and then like metal, and people be like, what? And rap, like, what? That doesn't work together, but like it does. It's Royal She.
I think, yeah, just all like we just don't answer to anyone but ourselves with this album. And me personally, as a writer, where Allison said she was a rookie back then, I felt like, I was an avid player, and a lot of my riffs were very intricate, which kind of it was almost like I was kind of showing off a little too much, or like overdoing it, or like, trying to, being a metal player, I wanted, people to respect me as a metal guitar player.
Every
But with
guitar
this
has been through
album,
that phase for sure.
exactly.
Every
But with
guitar is like, who can I beat at shredding, like,
exactly. What can I pull out of my ass, that
yeah.
will impress the guys? Anyway, but with this album, it was more of the opposite, where I was like, okay, I need to kind of chill back a little bit and let the vocals, shine, not write so much intricate, stuff, kind of a little bit more, pop science, not pop, but like four chords as opposed to like 20 different, changes.
Yeah.
Something just a little bit more laid back, and yeah, again, having the vocals shine more and not be so in your face with my
Got
guitar
it.
stuff.
Yeah,
Guitar
makes sense.
shredding. Although I
There's
mean,
always time for
the
shredding,
leads are
you can always
incredible.
shred.
Like the shredding is still shredding.
Shredding, yeah, I don't. I'm not a shredder.
Yes,
not
you
not these
are.
days.
I'm
Not
sure
these
you
days.
are.
She is.
I'm sure you are. I'm sure you are.
She's
Uh,
insane.
Yeah.
so yeah, let's throw in a couple more questions about your identity as, like, your aesthetic identity, right? Because all of that obviously translates into how you dress and how you not only how you dress, but like how you portray the aesthetics of the band, the music videos, the visuals and all that. What inspires that? Any specific bands, or like do you take inspiration from cinema, from whatever, television? Like what inspires your visuals?
Yeah, well, I would say a band that definitely has inspired some of the visuals is Fanagram. We love Fanagram so much. We love their music, we love their aesthetic, their shows. And they're also a duo and they're also best friends. So like and they're
Yeah.
also in LA. We love you, Fanagram. So I think it's been helpful to see that because obviously we are, different people. So it's not like we're biting them because I don't think anybody seeing a picture of us and them would be like, oh, they're like biting their style. I don't think it's that at all, but I think that it's allowed us to kind of pull from different things that we really like. We're still fine tuning, stuff since our whole album isn't released yet, but we're actually working on like logos and the video aesthetics that are going to be playing like behind us while we're performing and stuff. So I think we're still kind of in that formation, but we also have a good sense of who we are, right? We know that we love colors. It's not just like metal, like how it used
Wow.
to be, just like black and like, we love that stuff. But we're like, you know what? We're pretty gay, literally gay, and we love colors. So it's
Yeah.
like, why don't we add some fun? Like, because you can be colorful, but also intense, and also angry, and
Pretty.
also healing. And I think we're kind of just more going with what feels authentic to us that we like without thinking too much about it. If it's
Yeah.
feeling in alignment, we're like, all right, let's explore
Yeah.
that.
And I'm seeing like a lot of psychedelia too, like a little bit of that type of stuff, which
So Nick Fancher did those photos. He's become a good friend too, and he's one of the most incredible photographers I think on planet Earth. Uh,
He's really captured what we were going for. Like we literally our first photo shoot with him, we were just like, just do your thing, and like he really captured, I think, our aesthetic, as far as like the colors go, the psychedelia, like who we, what we represent. And
yeah.
go ahead, Allison. I didn't mean to cut you
Yeah,
off.
no, I completely agree. So I think even though there's a lot of color, it's not like cheesy or like teeny pop, right? There's still this intensity. There's still like this. I mean, it's art. It's really cool how I also feel like he captured our essence while doing, carving out the space of what we're trying to do aesthetically. Yeah.
yeah, colors wise, it reminded me a lot of how the Brian Jonestown Massacre had their cover art.
Oh, I need to look it up. I don't know what you mean. So you'll have to send that a link so we can check that out.
The Brian Jonestown Massacre, you don't
Yeah,
know
no,
them?
I don't know it.
They're
No.
okay, so they're Dandy Warhols.
Yes.
So the
Yes.
Dandy Warhols and the Brian Jonestown Massacre were two, like they were like best friends bands. Um, and the Dandy Warhols made it mainstream and the Massacre didn't. So you know what I mean? So there was like
Yeah.
at some point there was some kind of like a conflict between them. The guy from the Massacre, Anton, is they were like all heroin addicts and
Mm.
great music, like very intense. Like the live performances, they would fight with each other all the time. There was like there's like a huge documentary. I can't remember the name of it now. I'll send it to you
Okay,
again.
I'll definitely watch
Sure,
it.
I'll make sure that I send it to you because it reminded me of that. There's a song called "The Girl's Suicide," and it has this cover art that reminded me of your
Oh,
cover photo there.
very cool. I definitely want to check
Check
that
it
out.
out.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
Absolutely.
other, in terms of color, I want to add, so TLC was my first like obsession, moving to the US actually. And on the TLC tip, like, these three women, it wasn't, especially back then, it wasn't really common for women to be like, strong and out there and, saying like it was and wearing whatever they wanted. And that really impacted me. Like they are, superheroes to me, and they still are. And I definitely think that also played a part, like that 90s vibe, which I think is also a part of everything, but like, and the colorful and the strength and all that stuff.
Yep.
I love that. Let me ask one last thing. What penultimate question? What do you think? What's it like being like an independent duo, been playing together for the longest time and blah 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 in the music industry right now? Because you guys are fully independent, like obviously you have to take care of not only making the music, but putting it out there and doing your tours and all that stuff. Like, what's it like, right
It
now
is
for you guys
hard
to
out
be?
here. It's
Because
hard, especially, like, streaming doesn't make anything. You have to everything. You have to pay so much to invest into your music. And there's so many intricacies. I mean, I'm literally just starting to take a course on sync to try to figure out ways to get our music
Mm-hmm.
into and film to start making money. But it's really, really hard. And I give so many props to people that are able to do it for a living. Like I'm really lucky. I worked really hard to, have a voiceover career. So I'm, working on, I do my voiceover and then I do the music. And I know that I'm really blessed because most people just have to hustle with their day job. And like, how do you have energy and, to do the other stuff afterwards? So it's also, I think that's part of our timeline of like why things have also taken longer, because it is so hard and so much work when you're doing everything by yourself. And there are unfortunately a lot of people out here that take advantage of people, musicians, and that of course has happened to us as well. So it's tough, but then I know I feel like we're getting closer and closer, and the journey has been incredible. And it's going to be that much sweeter when it starts being easier and money starts coming in and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, it's definitely pushed us into being businesswomen, which has been amazing because although it's all difficult, like we're learning something new every single day. Not only with like administrative stuff, obviously music stuff, but then there's administrative stuff, and then there's content. All of that, I am appreciative of learning all of that because if things do get handed over, it's like, well, we know what they should be doing, and even us kind of putting it in there if we need to do certain things ourselves because well,
You
I'll
know how
say
to do it.
Allison's a bit of a control freak when it comes to certain things, so I can see you still wanting to do things your way. um but yeah, no, it's been extremely daunting, but at the same time also very rewarding, I would say.
So,
Lovely. And my last question would be, who came up with this name and what does this name mean, Royal She? Like, what was the like?
I know I came up with it, but Alex, do you remember much more? I mean, I know like for me, I love the movie A Little Princess and the messaging of that. That was like a movie from the 90s, super, super long time ago, early 90s, I think. But it's like every girl is a princess. And you know, I also in today's political climate and all that stuff, it's like, man, women need to really fucking step up and take care of one another and like take fucking control. Like seriously, like it's the time for the divine feminine is now. And so I think it's multifaceted. It's really asking us all to step into our power to make the world a better place and to step into the divine feminine. And um yeah. What about anything else, Alex?
No, you came up with it, and I was like, that's a badass name. Let's do it. I mean, everything that it represents, like it's not just the band name. It's everything that comes with it. How
I
Alex said,
love
how
that. I love that.
explained it.
I'm
Exactly.
actually, I'm glad that there's no story behind it. It's just like straight to the point. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That's what it
very
means. That's what it means, and that's what it stands for. I like that.
Yeah,
exactly.
sweet.
I love it. I love it.
Exactly.
All right, awesome, guys. This was great. Let's close with what's happening, in your lives right now. Record is coming out. If you can share when, share it. If not, we'll keep our readers posted about that. But
Yeah, no, the full
what's
album will
happening
be
right now
out
for the
early
rest of
July.
25?
The full album is done. It's mixed. It's going to be out early July, and then we have our album release show at the world famous Troubadour in Los Angeles. That's July 24th. Tickets are on sale. I know we've already been doing well with the ticket sales, and it's pretty far out there, so that's very exciting. And yeah, I mean, having this album out, and getting to play that show and then hopefully going on a tour, that's where all of our energy is going, and we're very excited.
I love
Yep.
that. I love that. What, like, just tell me one last thing. What do you want for the listener to and the viewer when people see you live playing these songs? Um, what do you want me to come home with? In terms of, is there like
Well,
an emotion or like what is the feeling? What's the vibe that you want me to take? After I see you guys.
The word is empowered. That's the one that just popped right in my mind. I want people to be empowered and feel that, and then also just like that feeling of we're not alone, we're in this together. There is so much love. There's life is worth it, and feeling empowered to be able to like go out there and kick booty.
Exactly.
Alex,
Perfect.
You're-
You said it. You're the PR. You're the PR of the duo. You've got it.
lead singer.
Amazing. Beautiful. Thank you guys. This was
Thank
great.
you so much. We
Thank
enjoyed
you
it
so much
very
for
much.
I think
joining
we